Hello.
Hello, Dez. It's Rowan from Silver Tiger Media. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Excellent. Thank you. It's such a thrill to catch up with you again. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, no problem. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Now, I've got to confess, I was all set to come and see you in Australia last year in Melbourne, but due to a set of unfortunate circumstances, I was prevented from shaking your hand. So I'm particularly thrilled to speak with you again. How was coming back to Australia for you last year?
Oh, those were fantastic shows. I mean, look, from the very get-go, from the very first record, Australia has taken us in, and I always say it's Devildriver country. So there's numerous places around the world that are Devildriver country, you know, Texas, LA, like there's some place, UK, but Australia, definitely Devildriver country. So sorry that you missed the show. It was absolute insanity, and we had a wonderful time, as I always do. And can't wait to come back down, you know, very soon, as soon as you guys open.
Absolutely. And I live vicariously through my photographer, so we're all good. But here we are in a time where we can't even travel between countries. That the world's so brilliantly depicted in your visual accompaniment to keep away from me. Des, how has your world changed since the outbreak?
Well, the song is Keep Away From Me. The record is called Dealing with Demons. It's a double volume, staggered release. The reason is I'm dealing with a lot of issues that I've got to get out on the table before I move to another lyrical style. And the first song, Keep Away From Me, deals with my agoraphobia that I've been going through my whole life. So I'm not the guy who's going to go to the Grammy Awards. I say this in other interviews. You know, if you invite me to the barbecue and there's more than 5 or 10 people there that I don't know, I'm probably going to tell you I'm going to come, but 10 minutes beforehand I'm going to call you and bullshit you and tell you I can't find my keys. Right, and I'm not going to come. So I guess the long answer to the very short question is during quarantine, nothing, not a thing has changed for me, other than the fact that I can't jam with my band or I can't tour. So nothing, absolutely nothing has changed. You know, other than your heart goes out to what is happening around the world. I mean, and you got to understand the place that I'm in, right? So 2019 for us, we're in the middle of recording. We have to flee twice from wildfires. We don't know if we're going to come back to our house, our cars, anything that we have here. You guys know very well what wildfire is like in Australia. After that, we come through that as a family. We come through that. My wife has cancer. She shows me what strength is. She goes through cancer. She goes through surgeries. She beats that. After that, we get ready to release a record. We come into pandemic world. Now we're going to release a record. We come into social unrest, social upheaval world. So if you're not a glass half full and you're a glass half empty guy, you're done. You're going to drown in that mud.
Wow.
But I've never been that guy. I've always been the guy like, listen, man, keep your head above water, keep breathing, keep treading water, and that's how it is. Now, what I will tell you is this. That's why the record that was done mid-2019 was in the can and done, both records, wasn't released. It's because of everything we were going through as a family. I wasn't about to leave my wife and go on tour or do any of that. And also, I got to say, look, a lot of bands now are pulling back their records, you know, because you're talking about the time we're in, right? So a lot of bands are pulling back their records, pulling back their music. It's not a good business move to release a record during now. You can't tour on it, etc. I'm doing the exact opposite, which is what I've done my whole life. And I'm releasing music during this time. And I feel if you're quarantined, if you're going through social unrest, social upheaval, if you've got emotional stuff happening around you, what do you need more than food and friendship? You need music. So since the topics on this double album staggered release are so heavy for me and actually very poignant, if you've interviewed me before, which you have, you know that ask me about a song and I will never tell you what it's about. I always say, whatever you feel. Whatever you feel it's about, but this is different. Every single song has a different demon. Every single song is getting dealt with. And agoraphobia happens to be keep away from me. That's my number one thing, So.
Now, has that been something you dealt with your entire life, the agoraphobia, or was it developed over time?
Yeah, it's very hard for me, right? So I went to a public high school, rode the bus with other kids that I couldn't do that. Would end up riding my bike or walking to school, which is, miles, because I just couldn't do that whole thing, standing at the bus stop, taking the bus. I had a hard time in school, so my parents put me in a smaller school, with 20, 30 students a class because I didn't deal well. I still don't. I suffer from ADD when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And that on top of on top of being, I've always been the kid who came home from school and played alone by myself, and I was totally fine with it. Now as an adult, I realize, hey, this has just been my life. And I said to Anastasia, look, this record is about leaving all of this on the table so I can move in a more woke direction as a lyricist. I've been writing about these topics since Coal Chamber, the human foibles, right? You're talking about loyalty, disloyalty, love, hate. I'm a very street writer. I tap into those kind of emotions well. But what you don't understand as a writer, I have people say it all the time, and it's the most kind, most appreciative thing when they say, your art has gotten me through dark times, Dez, thank you. What they don't understand is what it's done to the writer. It's been sucking the life out of me this whole time. So this is the time I'm getting rid of all this. And I said to Anastasia, what's the main thing that I've got to deal with? And she goes, I can't get you to go anywhere. I've been with you 25 years. You don't go anywhere. When you do, it's like just us or just a small group of friends, surfing or whatever it is. And I said, okay, so what's that called? And she goes, agoraphobia. And that's actually the first time that I picked up a dictionary and looked at the term agoraphobia and went, that's me. And that's been me my whole life. Okay, that's the first demon that I'm going to put on the table. And then I go back to my writings in Coal Chamber and in early Devildriver, and I realize I've been writing about all this stuff. I've been writing about this stuff forever. It's time for me to move, man. It's time for me to move on. So this is look, every record should be personal, and every artist says this is the most personal record, right? Because they're trying to sell their fucking art.
Yeah.
But for me, this record is definitely insanely personal. And if you know me for 30 years and you followed, or you're the brand new guy on the block, you're going to get something so not just surface that come on in and dive in. And if you can handle it, let's do it together.
Oh, absolutely. And such camaraderie will be built between individuals on this album. The word cathartic just slims in significance to what you're stating. But this is the first album of original songs since 2016, notwithstanding, of course, the brilliant Outlaws Till the End, which I play all the time and stare into that beautiful cover art. But I can't help but wonder, Des, how much did creating Outlaws to the End and listening to those legendary outlaws reliving their tracks so beautifully, how much did that have to do with prying, dealing with demons from you?
I've always listened to those artists, those early outlaw country artists, early metal artists, people who actually dove deeply. But I will tell you this is a whole new animal here in Devildriver. I actually said to the guys, let's get on a conference call. I got to tell you guys something. Okay, get them all in a conference call. And I said, listen, if we just met today, what would we do? Who would we be? All your influences, not writing for a brand, not writing Coca-Cola, not filling Coca-Cola, not putting Coca-Cola out because that's what the listeners want. They want Devildriver. What would we be? And if I took everything I've ever done from Coal Chamber, everything I did at Outlaws, everything we've always done against the grain and from Devildriver, and we did music for ourselves, not for the listener or not for the brand, who would we be? And they said to me, hey, we've already got 3 songs written, and they're definitely Devildriver songs. Now that you say that, we're scrapping them. And I actually said, no, send me the tunes. They said, no, we're not sending you them. Now we're going to do as a team what we've been waiting for you to kind of cut us loose, because it's a newer team, right? It's only been in here 5-6 years with me, which is relatively new. And I cut them loose. And I'm telling you, the first 3 songs that I got, actually one of the first ones was Keep Away From Me. Mm-hmm. And I said, what is this? And they said, this is new Devildriver. I mean, look, there's a lot of brands that have been around 10, 20 years. I could name the bands, and so can you. And they write the same record over and over and over. All they do is repaint the van and put it out, repaint the van, and they keep kicking the same van down the highway. And I wasn't about to do that. I was like, if this was the last thing I put out, if this was the first record you guys as musicians were ever to do and no one knew who you were or who we were and there was no expectation, what would you do? How would you react? And that's the problem within our scene, is nobody as a band is saying that right now. They're all writing what they're supposed to write for their brand. And I was just done with it. And look, That's why we did Outlaws to the End. There's just a big middle finger to telling me I can't do it. And I was told by numerous people, don't combine country, don't combine metal, don't have all these gas. This thing's going to fail. What are you doing to your brand, Devildriver? And I said, you know what, man? I'm going to do whatever I want. I don't know how much time I have left on this earth. I'm going to do the art that I want. So that did, so this is a long answer to the short question, right? It did actually affect me in that way and made me tell the guys, okay, look, I saw what you guys did on Outlaws to the End. What I want you to do now is don't think about the brand. Don't think about, oh, people love the third record or their favorite record is the fifth record or, you know, it's never been better than the first record. All those things you hear around brands, don't think about it. I said, and if we fail miserably together or we're going to hit some heights that we've never hit. And what is happening now around the band with not only the people that are listening to us and the label, the radio stations, everything else, everybody's latching on. Because if you do art for art's sake, people see right into it, for sure, right? I mean, there's something to be said with if you're painting with yellow and red your whole life, if you're a painter, and you all of a sudden get blue and purple put in there, ooh, what are you doing now? So we threw in all the colors. We threw in all the colors of the palette, and that's what you're getting now with this. I say new Devildriver. I mean, it sounds nothing like the first three records. I mean, it obviously has a distinctive sound because it's me, right? Or you can hear my voice, right? But and you'll hear it, every song is very different. So the next track you guys are going to get July 1, the next track you guys are going to get in August, they're all very different from one another. Here's an interesting thing.
How exciting.
Yeah, here's a real interesting thing. I have three sons, all in their early 20s. And one of them is like, I love Volume 1. The next one is, I love Volume 2. You know, my third kid is like, man, the last part of Volume 1 and the first part of Volume 2 would be a great record. The thing is it's all killer, no filler. That's why they can't make up their mind on what's better. So without any kind of sell, I'm just telling people, we have, like, first of all, what bands put out 4 singles before the record comes out? None.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Because they don't have 4 singles. They have 2 in their arsenal. They'll play them live. The rest of the record is filler. We're putting out 4 singles, and I could put out 10 because we got 10 songs on the record. So what I'm doing is I'm giving you 4 singles before the record comes out, so you're emotionally invested in what we're about to do. And you want to hear the other 6 to hear where I'm going, what topics I'm touching on, and what the band is doing. I mean, the guitar players out there are at their ultimate peak right now. They're only going to get better. Only going to get better. And I actually have new Devildriver songs, which are unbelievable. So, you know, it's a great thing when you can have a longtime brand and a longtime band and do what we're doing, which is like full circle, you know, come with something new.
Absolutely. And as you threw out that challenge, was there one individual track, Des, that really took you by surprise? I mean, you've dug so deep, all of you as a band, to find this essence of Devildriver. Was there one track that leapt out at you and you thought, fuck, this is us. This is us now?
Well, I mean, if you listen to Keep Away From Me, this new single, you'll hear, like, what I heard when I first heard this music they gave me, which was like, what is this? Like, first of all, I would have said to you 2 years ago, 5 years, or not 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, hey, this is not Devildriver. This is not what I want to do. We're a groove band, we're this, we're that, all these things that I think we are, listeners think we are, you know. And when I got Keep Away From Me, I played it for Anastasia. And she's like, what is that? I said, that's new Devildriver. She's like, okay, that's Devildriver? I mean, you know, I'm playing a song downstairs on my sound bar, and she comes down, and she's like, what are you listening to? And I'm like, I'm listening to new Devildriver. And she's like, no, you're not. So this will give you an example of what's coming and what's going to come on Volume 1 and Volume 2. Everything is a step away, but in stepping, and this is strange, but in stepping away, we stepped more into what we should be, because we've never really fit in. I'm a punk rock kid that loves metal because I love it vicious and heavy. I love goth. I woke up listening to Bauhaus this morning. How do you put that together in music? I love outlaw country. I love, whatever you love. I mean, I love blues. I love rock. I love whatever you're listening to. I dig it. I love all music. Music saved my life when I was a kid. It's all I did in my room by myself. So how do you put those things together and come up with amalgamation of music? I mean, and here's the thing. Everybody in my band, every musician in my band is the same way. Extremely diverse in what they listen to. I got to listen to a lot of industrial music on that bus with Mike. I got to listen to a lot of other black metal and stuff like that on my bus with Neil. I got to, everybody listens to different stuff. So I will say this. I thought the musicians absolutely outdid themselves to the point where I told them, listen, one never knows what the future holds. If I were to fall off a curb and die today, I would be happy that I left these 2 volumes after all of this time in the industry, and I could be proud of myself as as my spirit left my body. So that's where we're at.
That just says it all, absolutely. That just builds the excitement to a magnificent scale. And, of course, you give me a reason to drink. You did that with your son, Blade, as well.
I did. Simon, he's a chip off the old block, that kid. The last time he was on Devildriver record was on Fighting Words. So yes. People know Devildriver and know the song Fighting Words because we play it live all the time. He was actually a guest on that song when he was 9 years old. And he had a voice then. He had a heavy voice then. So he's getting ready to record a record this year or next year, his first solo record. And it's actually going to be coming out on Oracle Records, which we've started a label. We've got a lot going on over here. We started a label. And it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do. His lows are lower than mine. His cadences are as tight as mine or tighter. And his highs are insanity, way above mine. So the kid has pipes, and he's got style. He's got his own style. So it was incredible to guest with him on this track. He knew exactly what the track was about, and we're dealing with demons here. So the first one is agoraphobia. And so what is that song about? That song is about you give me a reason to drink. And we all know what that's like, right? In order to get over this relationship, give me a double shot with a beer backer right now and keep them coming.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And so, so the kid prevailed. When people hear that song, they're going to lose their minds.
Wow, such excitement. I realise you're pressed for time, Des. I've got so much to ask you. I'm going to put out a request, if I could, to speak to you regularly after every song is released. This is so exciting, and I absolutely keep away from me.
Yeah, we'll definitely look. We'll chat. We'll take 15-minute chats on each of these songs that we're releasing, and then we'll do a proper album chat once that thing gets released. This is all about just kind of telling people what's coming and identifying what Keep Away From Me is about, and letting them know that it's a double record staggered release. It's called Dealing with Demons, and why it's called Dealing with Demons. Not just because it sounds cool, you know what I mean? It does sound cool, but the reason is it's time to get a lot of this stuff out on the table because I need to move to another direction lyrically, and I've already started to do that. I've got 3 songs written in that style, and I'm loving it. So, yeah, man, great to talk to you. Let's hook up on the next single. You guys are getting another one July 1. Get ready. It's coming. You guys are going to be blown away by this one that's coming. And we'll get it on.
Lovely. Thanks very much for every step of the musical journey with you, Des. Every track is appreciated. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for being a gentleman. Talk to you later.
Pleasure. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
To make another call, press